Hello students, welcome to Infinity. So we are starting and launching today the revision or questions discussion which is targeting your SL1 strategic level ABR paper, where we are discussing the governance, ethics, I would say risk management related questions which are relevant for you. So students, the paper which we have selected today is SL1 December 2024. Before moving on to the paper and taking the questions, students, there are certain points that we have to mention to you. This program, if you ask from the students who have participated into this, even though we don't make much of noise, are widely accepted by many students. Students, the pass rates are so high. There were instances where people who were stuck in the exam for more than 14 years got through after participating in these programs. Students, this program is lined up in such a way, through the questions we are discussing the fine theory points. Through the questions we are discussing the fine theory points. So we take past papers, we take model questions, we take mock examinations. So through this we are discussing the fine theory points that will help you out in getting an understanding of what sort of questions these are. Students, so when we answer the questions, get used to the approach that we use to answer this. Get used to the approach. What sort of approach we use? මොනවගේ approach එකක්ද අපි පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ? What sort of a idea, what sort of an indication, what sort of matters we concentrate? How do we evaluate an action verb? How do we write our answer based on the action verb? Action verb එක base කරලා අපි උත්තරේ ලියන්නේ කොහොමද? All these necessary, very important examination skills you have to develop, right? So develop that skill. I think sometimes if you are repeating the exam, your failure or maybe your loophole may be that you are not answering to the action verb, or sometimes you may be rewriting the examination question again without your knowledge. Without your knowledge, you may be rewriting the question. It happens, right? Or maybe sometimes whatever the answer you are writing is not relevant to the examiner's question, or maybe a generalized answer which something which is on your totally on your mind, not what the question asked. අහපු ප්‍රශ්නෙට නෙමෙයි ඔයාගේ ඔළුවේ තියෙන එකක් ලියන්න. It happens, right? It's quite common. It happened to me, it happened to someone else, they passed, and it will happen to you and you will pass if you follow this properly, right? So ඒ වගේ issues තියෙනවා ළමයි. අපි අහන එකට නෙමෙයි උත්තර ලියන්නේ, we are writing something else, our answers are too generalized, our answers are not that specific, we are not writing according to the action verb. It happens. ඒක වෙනවා. It's quite normal. What we have to identify, it happens, and we have to get through it. මේක වෙනවා, අපි එකෙන් එළියට යන්න ඕනේ. That's the important factor that we have to establish. So knowing all this, මේ ටික ඔක්කොම ඔළුවට අරගෙන ළමයි, let's move to understanding this fact, right? Let's move to answering these questions. And students, every time if you have any doubt, make a කරගෙන යද්දි මොනවා doubts තියෙනවනේ, if you have any doubts, please do let us know. අපිට කියන්න, right? We are there to help you out. අපි ඔයාලට උදව් කරන්න, right? You have our contact numbers. Anytime you can contact, right? This program is attended by the feedback I am getting from our operations team, people who are in Colombo, people who are in outstations, some students who are overseas, people joining from Maldives, people joining from Australia, Middle East, countries like Kuwait, countries like Oman, the Dubai, Saudi, right? People joining. So all of you have our contact details. You can anytime contact us, right? And get your matter sorted, get that service from us, right? That's the kind of assurance we are giving to all of you in passing this exam. Okay, so with all the good blessings, students, let's go to SL1 December 2024 paper. In that paper, students, there is question number 3, which is quite based on pre-scene based question. Question number 3 එකේ තියෙන pre-scene based question එකක්. That pre-scene based question number 3, students, which we will answer separately. Question number 1, it's fully on financial reporting. One එක financial reporting question එකක් ළමයි. Question number 2 also, first part, I think part A, kind of A. Financial reporting question. B. Also financial reporting. But C is our cup of tea. C එක ළමයි අපේ කතාව. Question number C is our cup of tea where we are discussing ethical points, ethical issues and how to sort it out. So look at the examinations requirement. Examiner's requirement, student, is examiner's requirement given as advise the finance manager on MPL. So you have to specifically note down the action verb, advise. Students, action verb is advise. Advise the finance manager on of NPL on the recommended behavior actions that he can take within the ethical framework. So if you are working in the, let's say, commercial sector as a finance manager, financial controller, still you got to be guided by what? Ethical conduct. තාමත් ඔයාට ethical conduct අනුව යන්න වෙනවා. So maybe your company ethical code of framework is there. If you are a CFO, if you are a member of CASriLanka or financial controller who's a member of a professional accounting body, you have your professional code of conduct is there. So as a member of your organization as well as a member in a professional body, how do you respond to this given ethical issue? මේ දීපු ethical issue එකට ඔයා කොහොමද respond කරන්නේ? How you are going to respond to it? Advise the finance manager of MPL on the recommended behavior actions that he can take with the ethical framework. මෙම කිව්ව ගමන් ළමයි ඔයාගේ ඔළුවේ යන්න ඕන, if it is professional ethical conduct, අපි ප්‍රශ්නෙට යමු, right? ඊට ඉස්සෙල්ලා අපි theory මතක් කරගමු. There are set of concepts of best behavior. Fundamental principles of ethics are there. The conceptual framework discussed set of fundamental principles of good ethical behavior. Then you have threats to independence. Then you have how do you mitigate it through safeguards. Make a safeguards dala mitigate karanne komada. All these are there. And then students, we have two types of ethical problems. A has done B, C got to know it, and D requires some outcome from him. මතකයිනේ ඔයාට යන්න. And you have ethical conflict resolution models as well. Tucker's model and American Accounting Association model. If you can't remember, look at your theory as well. So how do you respond to this? What is the recommended behavior? He can tackle this ethical issue. මේ ethical issue එක tackle කරන recommended behavior එක මොකක්ද? Shall we see? For 5 marks, right? අපි මේක ලකුණු 5කට තමයි කරන්න ඕන. Look at it, everybody. The finance manager of MPL is an associate member of CASriLanka. The company is preparing to apply for a bank loan. Company is preparing to apply for a bank loan. He's a member of CASriLanka. So he has what? He has professional code of ethics issued by CASriLanka. But it has experienced, they are going for a bank loan, they are applying for a bank loan, but it has experienced a decline in both sales and net income over the last 2 years. Sales and net income coming down last 2 years, with some customers struggling to settle their accounts. Debtors are finding it difficult to repay, and your revenues are also going down, your profits are also going down, debtors are also unable to pay, impairment risk is there. Sometimes receivables may be overstated. Receivables overstate pela ඇති ළමයි. That risk is also there. As a result, the management believes it is necessary to underestimate uncollectible accounts this year to present a slight growth in earnings. The management trying to understate the uncollectible accounts and overstate the value of receivables, overstate the profits, not to recognize debtors impairment. Debtors impairment recognize karanne, so make it understated, overstate the accounts receivable, overstate the profit by doing that. Show a slight growth in earnings. So this is window dressing, right? They think that future successful years will offset these losses. ඉස්සරහට හොඳට කරලා මේ loss ටික කපා ගන්නවා. Furthermore, given the company's history of success, they view the adjustments as mere accounting practices. These are what? Creative accounting. These are window dressing. The finance manager has been asked to adjust and submit the adjusted financial statements to the bank. So the senior management said, finance manager, now we have a threat to our profit, threat to our earnings. So understate the impairment, overstate the receivables, overstate our earnings, do some window dressing, create slight earnings increase to get that bank loan, deceive the bank, do that. Students, what is the threat to independence for the finance director, finance manager? Now, finance manager is in an ethical dilemma. Finance manager lama ethical dilemma hai kinne. He is in an ethical dilemma right now. What's the ethical dilemma? On one side, students, he has a personal interest. Personal interest is he has to be obedient to his superiors. Superiors කියන එක කරන්නත් ඕන. He has to be obedient to it. Otherwise, he would be found as disobedient. අපි කියන එක ඔයා කරන්නේ නැද්ද? Disobedient on one side. On the other side, he has the professional interest of being honest, maintaining integrity, objectivity, professional competence, because this will impact his professional competence and professional behavior. Make a karapu gamang, he will become a dishonest person. So two types of interest is there. On one side, he has a personal interest of obedience, safeguarding his job. Job එක නැති වුණොත් ළමයි සමහරලාට ආදායම නැති වෙනවා. So on one side he has that, on the other side he has the professional obligations as well. He is in an ethical dilemma, ethical conflict. How to mitigate it? Right? The මෙයාට මේ pressure එක එනවා. Right? Finance manager දෙපැත්තම බලන්න වෙනවා, right? You have to look for both the sides. So CFO mindset you have to apply. So how do you verify it? So anytime can he break those ethical rules, fundamental ethical principles, can he break? The break කරන්න පුළුවන් දෙයක් ළමයි? To overstate financial statements and deceive the shareholders to get that bogus profit? Should not. ඒක කරන්න බෑ. So now he has to manage it. Right? අර වැඩේ කරන්න බෑ යාට ළමයි. A fraudulent financial reporting වැඩේ he can't do. Then what? Then he has to manage this side. මේ පැත්ත balance කරගන්න ඕන. Whom? His top management. So what he got to do? Can he all of a sudden refuse it? Without without a justification, can he refuse? Justification එකක් නැතුව යාට refuse කරන්න පුළුවන්ද ළමයි? He can't. So what he should do? එයා මොකද ළමයි කරන්න ඕන? At no cost, at no situation, he can break what? Fundamental ethical principles violate කරන්න බෑ ළමයි. Integrity, honesty, objectivity he can't break. So he should first and foremost inform this senior management team who told this to him. Sorry sir, there is a problem. As per accounting standards, we have to recognize debtors impairment because these debtors are irrecoverable, it seems. So we have to recognize. So unfortunately, we have to recognize it even though the profits comes down and even though this goes to the bank. And if the directors are not conversant, make a directors are conversant නැත්තම්, if they quite insisting on this, make insisting වෙනවනම් ළමයි මොකද කරන්න ඕනේ? Then he may escalate this particular issue. The director pressure කරනවා ළමයි. He may escalate this issue to the board audit committee. Finance director to board audit committee එකට මෙයා මේක අරන් යන්න ඕන. To those charged with governance he has to take. That's the best possible action. American Accounting Association model says identify the issues, identify the ethical principles breached, identify alternative options. Alternative option එකක් විදිහට he can't breach ethical issues. So he has to escalate this to whom? To those charged with governance, the board audit committee. He has to escalate. In that also he gets pressure. Right? He may consider resigning from this employment. May employment again resign වෙන්න හිතෙයි. Agree? That's the best way. Shall we advise him? අපි අර advice එකක් දෙමුද? Write down. The finance manager at MPL, the finance manager at MPL is facing an ethical dilemma. Whereas both his personal interests and professional interests, both his personal interests and professional interests, personal interest and professional interests are conflicting with each other. Both his personal interest and professional interest are conflicting with each other. Number one, personal interest. Personal interest. The finance manager, underline and below that write down. Write down in a logical way, right, where the examiner can read. The finance manager has a personal interest of being obedient, personal interest of being obedient to his employer, being obedient to his employer, and support, being obedient to his employer and support in securing the bank loan. That's very important, right? And support in securing the bank loan. And support in securing the bank loans. Next line. Furthermore, we are advising, right? මෙයා මේ පැති දෙකම බලන්න ඕන. Furthermore, the finance manager may be worried about his job security and performance evaluation. Job security and performance evaluation. His job security and performance evaluation. Job security and performance evaluation on if a disobedience is identified. 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 He has a threat to his job, right? If a disobedience is identified. Next one, write down, students. Professional interest. Professional interest. Professional interest. Professional interest. So what? He has to go ahead with what? Honesty, and should not, right, manipulate the financial statements. Professional interest. As per the code of ethics of CASriLanka, as per the code of ethics of CASriLanka, and being a member of CASriLanka, and being a member of CASriLanka, CASriLanka ke member kenek වුණාම, and being a member of CASriLanka, being a member of CASriLanka, he has to maintain the honesty and integrity. The honesty and integrity. In dealing with financial statements preparation. Honesty and integrity in dealing with financial statements preparation. Honesty and integrity in dealing with financial statement preparation. As well as maintaining a professional behavior. Now bring in these theory points, right? May theories arang enna lamai. Maintain a professional behavior. Professional behavior where he is performing his task with professional competence. Where he is performing his task with professional competence. මෙයා මෙයාගේ වැඩ කරන්නේ ළමයි professional competence එක්ක. He is performing his task with professional competence. Full stop. Next line, students. Recommended behavior. Heading, recommended behavior. When you write like this, examiner knows that you know the facts, right? Recommended behavior. Recommended behavior. So what's the recommended behavior? Recommended behavior. Below that, write down the finance manager. The finance manager is finance manager is exposed to the finance manager is exposed to. Students, what are the threats he is exposed to? Definitely intimidation, right? The මේක නොකරොත් එයාට job එක නැති වෙයි. Performance evaluation එක upset එකයි. Intimidation is exposed to threats to independence such as intimidation. Threats to independence such as intimidation, self-interest. Why? Ayyo, my job. He is worried, right? Intimidation, self-interest. Intimidation, self-interest. Where a conflict of interest impacting him. Where a conflict of interest impacting him. Next line. The finance manager must not understate the debtor's impairment. Must not understate the debtor's impairment. Must not, we are advising him. Must not understate the debtor's impairment and overstate the receivables. Must not understate the debtor's impairment and overstate the receivables and earnings which will result in fraudulent financial reporting and window dressing. Which will result in fraudulent financial reporting and window dressing. Which will result in fraudulent financial reporting and window dressing. Which will result in fraudulent financial reporting and window dressing. Next line. The finance manager should inform the management of negative repercussions of overstating the profits. Should inform the management on negative repercussions of overstating profits for bank purpose. Overstating profits for bank purpose. And his inability to do so. And his inability to do so. And his inability to do so. එයාට ඒක කරන්න බෑ කියලා කියන්න ඕන. His inability to do so. Full stop. Next line. If the management is consistently pressurizing for overstatement. If the management is consistently pressurizing for overstatement, if the management is consistently pressurizing for overstatement, if the management is consistently pressurizing for overstatement, comma, finance manager should inform the audit committee and those charged with governance. Finance manager should inform the audit committee and those charged with governance. Make audit committee right, those charged with governance. Maybe chairman, right? Those charged with governance. Next line. If the matter is not sorted, if the matter is still not sorted, if the matter is still not sorted, if the matter is still not sorted, the finance manager may consider resigning from MPL. The finance manager may consider resigning from MPL. He may consider resigning because he can't work, right? The finance manager may consider resigning from MPL. Full stop. Great. Students, as the starting point today, we have done this particular question, 2024 December paper, question number 2, part C we have done. December 2024 paper, question number 2, part C we did. Students, this question would give you an idea how to write down according to the advice, the action verb, and for 5 marks, students. That to this comprehensively you go to write in your exam. Don't write these short answers, students, which won't give you marks because you are not addressing your action verbs. At your level, your action verbs will be advice, discussing, maybe analyzing, maybe evaluation, right? Likewise, where you have to evaluate everything and come up with a solution or recommendation like I provided you right now. So those type of quite comprehensive examination answers you got to write lamai. A vidhi answers tamai all liyanna at your strategic level basically. Okay. So thanks a lot, students, for your participation today. There are a lot of recorded videos available which will be uploaded by Infinity team. If you have any issues with regard to grasping these or any further clarifications you need, students, let us know. We are there to help you out. This program helped hundreds of CA students to pass their examination. So good luck everybody, and thanks for watching this video. We'll meet up again in another video and we'll continue our good work. Thank you.